Hashtag part
Enjoy.
one. The hook
Thank you, dear. It
mystery
looks wonderful.
begins.
You're welcome.
Every
Let me
morning
know if you
before
need
the sun
anything
fully rose, the small diner on Maple Street opened its doors. The place was simple, nothing special, but people came because it felt warm and familiar. Coffee machines hummed, plates clinked, and the smell of fresh bread filled the air. Among the workers, everyone knew Maya. She was a young black waitress who worked long hours, but never lost her calm smile. Life had not been easy for her, yet she treated every customer with patience and respect. Most customers noticed her kindness. Some even came back just because of the way she greeted them. But there was one customer almost nobody noticed. An old man sat in the same corner every single day. He always arrived early, before the rush started. His coat looked old, and his shoes were worn out. He ordered the cheapest coffee on the menu and sometimes a small piece of toast. Then he would sit quietly for hours, watching people come and go. Many customers thought he was just another lonely old man with nowhere else to go. Some workers complained about him. They said he took up space and didn't spend enough money. The diner owner didn't like that he stayed too long. But Maya never treated him differently. She refilled his coffee without being asked. On cold mornings, she made sure his cup stayed warm. Sometimes, when he didn't have enough money, she quietly paid the difference herself. The old man rarely spoke. When he did, his voice was soft and slow. He thanked Maya politely, but he never shared much about himself. Still, his eyes were sharp. He noticed everything. How people talked, how they treated each other, and especially how Maya treated everyone the same, whether they were rich or poor. Weeks passed, and a silent routine formed between them. Maya would greet him with a small smile. He would nod back. Sometimes she talked during her short break, telling him about her long shifts or how tired she felt after taking care of her sick mother at home. The old man mostly listened. He never interrupted. He only watched and listened. But there was something strange about him. Every day, after finishing his coffee, he took out a small notebook. He wrote slowly, carefully, as if every word mattered. No one knew what he was writing. Some customers joked that he was writing complaints about the diner. Others said he was just passing time. Maya never asked. She believed everyone carried stories they were not ready to share. Then one morning, everything changed. The diner was busy. The breakfast rush had just started when the sound of cars stopping outside caught everyone's attention. Through the window, people saw 3 black cars parked neatly in front of the diner. The engines stayed running. The door opened. Men in dark suits walked inside. They looked serious, out of place in the small, noisy diner. Behind them stood 4 large bodyguards who scanned the room carefully. Conversation stopped. Forks froze in the air. Even the coffee machine seemed louder in the sudden silence. The men did not look around for long. They walked straight toward the old man's table. Maya felt her heart beat faster as she watched. The old man slowly closed his notebook, as if he had been expecting this moment. One of the suited men spoke respectfully, calling him by a name nobody in the diner had ever heard before. Suddenly, the atmosphere changed. The diner owner stepped forward, confused. Customers whispered to each other. Who was this man? Why were lawyers and bodyguards looking for him? The old man stood up slowly. For the first time, he didn't look small or weak. There was something different in the way he carried himself now. Something powerful. Maya felt a strange feeling in her chest. She didn't understand why, but she felt that this moment would change everything. Before leaving, the old man looked at her. Not like a customer looking at a waitress, but like someone who had made an important decision. And in that moment, Maya realized something frightening. The quiet old man she helped every day was never just an ordinary man. And whatever was about to happen next, it somehow involved her. Hashtag part 2, the quiet friendship. Before the black cars arrived and the diner filled with whispers, everything between Maya and the old man had been simple. No one paid attention to how their quiet friendship began, because to others, it looked like nothing important. Just a waitress doing her job. Just an old man drinking coffee alone. But small moments often carry stories people do not see. The first time Maya really noticed him was on a cold evening near closing time. Most customers had already left, and the diner felt empty and quiet. The old man sat alone, staring into his cup as if he had forgotten it was there. When Maya brought the bill, she noticed him counting coins slowly, his hands shaking slightly. He looked embarrassed. Without saying anything, Maya took the coins, smiled, and told him it was enough. After he left, she quietly paid the remaining amount herself. The next morning, he returned. From that day on, he came every morning at the same time. He never asked for special treatment, but Maya made sure he felt welcome. She greeted him like she greeted everyone else, with kindness that felt natural, not forced. The old man noticed this immediately. Many people were polite when others were watching, but Maya was kind even when nobody cared. At first, their conversations were short. A simple good morning, a quiet thank you. But slowly, the silence between them became comfortable. Maya sometimes sat for a minute during her break, resting her tired feet. She talked about ordinary things, long shifts, rising bills, and how hard it was to balance work and home. Her mother had been sick for months, and medical expenses were growing. Still, she never complained angrily. She just spoke honestly. The old man listened carefully. He rarely shared anything about himself. When Maya asked where he lived, he only smiled and said, "Not far." When she asked about his family, he changed the subject. It felt like there were parts of his life he wanted to keep hidden. But every day, after she walked away, he opened his small notebook. He wrote about what he saw. He wrote about the businessman who shouted at servers. He wrote about customers who ignored workers as if they were invisible. And often, he wrote about Maya, how she treated people with patience even when they were rude, how she helped without expecting anything back. Other workers didn't understand her. Some laughed at her kindness. They said she wasted energy on people who could give her nothing. One waitress even warned her, saying, "People like him only bring trouble." Maya only smiled. She believed that everyone deserved respect, especially those who looked lonely. One afternoon, the diner owner complained openly. The old man had been sitting for hours again, ordering only coffee. The owner muttered that customers needed to pay if they wanted to stay. Maya felt uncomfortable hearing this. She defended the old man gently, saying he never caused problems. The old man heard everything. He watched as Maya risked annoying her boss just to protect someone who could not defend himself. That moment stayed in his mind longer than anything else. Days turned into weeks. The routine never changed. Coffee, quiet conversations, and the sound of pen moving across paper. Yet something invisible was growing between them. Trust. Maya had never realized that the old man studied people the way others read books. He noticed how kindness disappeared when money was not involved. He had seen it many times before in his life. That was why he came to places like this now, dressed simply, saying little. He was searching for something he thought no longer existed. One morning, Maya arrived looking more tired than usual. She admitted she had almost quit her job because everything felt too heavy. The old man listened silently. After a long pause, he said something unexpected. "Sometimes," he said softly, "the world shows you who you are when nobody is watching." Maya didn't fully understand what he meant, but his words stayed with her. She didn't know that for the old man, the decision was already forming. He had been watching long enough. And very soon, the quiet routine inside the diner was about to end, because people from his past were getting closer, and when they arrived, nothing would stay the same again. Hashtag part 3, the hidden truth. The days after the black cars appeared felt different inside the diner. People spoke in lower voices, and everyone kept looking toward the corner where the old man used to sit. His chair remained empty, but his presence still felt there, like a question nobody could answer. Maya tried to focus on her work, but her mind kept returning to that moment. The way the men in suits spoke to him with respect. The way his posture changed when he stood up. It was as if the quiet old man she knew had suddenly become someone else. Someone important. The diner owner could not stop talking about it. He regretted every complaint he had ever made about the old man staying too long. Now he wondered if he had lost a wealthy customer. Other workers suddenly claimed they had always been kind to him, even though Maya remembered things differently. But Maya felt confused more than curious. She did not understand why everyone's attitude changed so quickly. To her, he was still the same lonely man who drank coffee slowly and listened more than he spoke. 2 days passed without any sign of him. On the third morning, a black car stopped outside again. This time, only one man stepped out. He wore a clean suit and carried a folder in his hands. The diner fell quiet as he walked inside and asked for Maya by name. Her heart raced as she stepped forward. The man introduced himself politely as Mr. Collins, one of the old man's lawyers. He explained that the old man was resting and unable to return for now. Maya felt an unexpected worry in her chest. She realized she knew almost nothing about him. Not his full name, not where he lived, not even his age. Then Mr. Collins said something that shocked her. The old man was once the founder of a massive business empire. Years ago, his companies were known across the country. He had built everything from nothing, but success brought problems. Partners betrayed him. Family members fought over money. Slowly, he stopped trusting people. After retiring, he disappeared from public life completely. He began visiting ordinary places, dressed simply, without revealing who he was. He wanted to see how people behaved when there was no wealth or power involved. Maya listened in silence, trying to connect this story with the man she knew. It felt unreal. She remembered his worn coat, his careful counting of coins, his quiet smile. None of it matched the image of a powerful businessman. Mr. Collins continued speaking. He explained that the old man had been observing people for months. Most ignored him. Some treated him badly. Others were kind only when they thought someone was watching. But one person never changed. Maya. She felt uncomfortable hearing this. She insisted she had done nothing special. She was only doing her job. The lawyer shook his head gently and said kindness without expectation was rare. After the lawyer left, the diner buzzed with excitement. Workers whispered about money and rewards. Some joked that Maya would become rich overnight. Others looked at her with jealousy, as if she had secretly known the truth all along. Maya hated the attention. That evening, as she cleaned tables alone, she noticed something left behind in the corner booth. It was a small notebook the old man always carried. Her hands hesitated before opening it. Inside were pages filled with neat handwriting. Observations about people, short thoughts about kindness and loneliness, and many entries about her. Not about what she said, but about what she did. He had written about the day she paid for his meal, the day she defended him, and the way she treated every customer equally. On the last page, one sentence stood out. Some people remind you that goodness still exists. Maya closed the notebook slowly, her eyes filled with emotion. For the first time, she realized that while she thought she was helping a lonely old man, he had been searching for something much deeper. Outside, the evening sky grew darker. Somewhere in the city, the old man's health was getting worse, and important decisions were being prepared. Maya didn't know it yet, but the quiet kindness she showed without thinking was about to change her life. And the next time the lawyers returned, they would bring news that no one in the diner expected. Hashtag part 4. The day everything changes. The diner had never felt this tense before. Ever since the lawyer's visit, the atmosphere changed in ways Maya could not ignore. Customers whispered when she walked by. Workers watched her differently. Even the diner owner suddenly treated her with unusual politeness, as if she had become important overnight. But Maya did not feel important. She felt uncomfortable. She missed the quiet mornings when the old man sat in the corner, drinking his coffee slowly while the world moved around him. Now that his true identity was known, nothing felt simple anymore. 3 days later, the black cars returned. This time, everyone noticed immediately. Conversations stopped again. The sound of chairs moving and cups being placed down filled the silence. The diner owner rushed to straighten his shirt, while some customers pulled out their phones, hoping to capture something unusual. 2 lawyers entered first, followed by the same 4 bodyguards. Their presence filled the small space, making it feel smaller than ever. Maya's heart began to race. She knew they had not come just to talk. The lawyers asked for Maya calmly and requested a private conversation. The owner quickly offered his office, smiling nervously. For the first time, Maya noticed how differently people behaved when power entered the room. Inside the office, one of the lawyers spoke gently. The old man wanted to see her. His health had worsened, and he could not return to the diner again. Maya felt a sudden wave of sadness she did not expect. She realized she had grown used to seeing him every day. Before she could respond, the lawyer handed her an envelope. Inside were medical reports and a short handwritten note. "Thank you for treating me like a person, not a name." Her hands trembled slightly as she read the words. When she stepped back into the diner, everyone stared at her. Questions filled the air. Was he giving her money? Was she going to leave her job? Rumors spread quickly, growing bigger with every whisper. The diner owner suddenly became overly friendly, telling her she could take time off whenever she needed. The same coworkers who once laughed at her kindness now tried to act close to her. Maya noticed the change clearly, and it made her uneasy. Later that afternoon, something unexpected happened. A wealthy-looking couple entered the diner and asked loudly about the old man. When they learned who he really was, their attitude changed instantly. They began praising him, calling him brilliant and generous. Maya remembered how those same people had once ignored him completely when he sat nearby. The difference hurt her more than she expected. That evening, Maya sat alone in the corner booth after her shift ended. She tried to understand why everything felt wrong. The old man had not changed. People's reactions had. The moment money and status appeared, respect suddenly followed. She realized something important then. The old man had not only been watching others. He had been proving something to himself. The next morning, a car arrived to take Maya to meet him. The ride felt long and quiet. Her thoughts raced with questions. Why did he want to see her now? What decision had he made? When she finally arrived at the large private house, she felt out of place. The building was elegant, surrounded by security and silence. It was hard to believe the same man who lived here had once sat alone in a small diner corner. Inside, the old man looked weaker than before, but his eyes were the same, calm, observant, and warm when he saw her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then he smiled faintly and said, "You did not change." Maya didn't know how to respond. She only knew that this meeting meant something important was about to happen. Outside the room, lawyers waited with documents ready. Decisions had already been prepared. Lives were about to change, including hers. And for the first time, Maya understood that the kindness she thought was small had created consequences far bigger than she ever imagined. Hashtag part 5, the test revealed. The room felt quiet, almost too quiet. The sound of a clock ticking on the wall filled the silence as Maya sat across from the old man. Up close, she could see how much weaker he had become. His hands moved slowly, and his breathing was heavier than before. But his eyes were still sharp, still observing everything around him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Maya felt nervous. This place, the large house, the lawyers waiting outside, it all fell far away from the small diner where their friendship had begun. She didn't know what he wanted from her, and that uncertainty made her uncomfortable. The old man smiled gently. "You look the same," he said, still honest. Maya lowered her eyes slightly. "I didn't know who you were," she replied quietly. "If I did, maybe things would have been different." The old man shook his head slowly. "That is exactly why I never told you." He leaned back in his chair, taking a slow breath before continuing. He explained how, after years of success, he stopped believing in people. Money changed how others treated him. Friends became business partners. Family arguments became fights over inheritance. Everywhere he went, people wanted something from him. So he disappeared. He started visiting places where no one recognized him. He dressed simply and watched how people behaved when they believed someone had nothing to offer. Most ignored him. Some treated him with impatience. A few were kind, but only when others were watching. Then he met Maya. "She never changed," he said softly. "Not once." Maya felt uneasy hearing this. She shifted in her seat. "I wasn't trying to prove anything," she said. "You looked alone. That's all." The old man nodded. "Exactly. That is why it mattered." He explained that, without telling anyone, he had been testing people. Not with money or rewards, but with presence. He wanted to know if genuine kindness still existed. Kindness without expectation. Every day in the diner had been part of that search. Maya's expression changed. The word test did not sit well with her. So, I was being watched? She asked quietly. The old man hesitated, realizing her discomfort. Not judged, he said carefully. Observed. But Maya shook her head slightly. Kindness shouldn't be a test, she said. People help because it feels right, not because someone is checking. Her words filled the room with a heavy silence. For the first time, the old man looked surprised. Most people agreed with him, especially when money was involved. But Maya's reaction was different. She wasn't impressed or excited. She looked almost disappointed. I helped you because you needed it, she continued. If I knew it was a test, it would feel wrong. The old man stared at her for a long moment. Then something unexpected happened. He laughed softly, not loudly, but with real emotion. It was the first genuine laugh Maya had ever heard from him. That, he said, is why you pass without trying. He admitted that her response confirmed everything he had been searching for. She didn't want rewards. She didn't care about his wealth. She only cared about fairness and dignity. In a world where most relationships felt transactional, her kindness felt real. The tension in the room slowly softened. The old man reached for a folder on the table, but did not open it yet. I spent years building companies, he said quietly, but I failed to build trust. You reminded me that it still exists. Maya didn't know what to say. She felt emotional, but also confused about where this conversation was leading. Outside the room, the lawyers waited patiently. Important papers were prepared. Decisions had already been written down. The old man looked at Maya again, his expression serious now. I cannot change the past, he said, but I can decide what happens next. Maya felt her heartbeat quicken. She sensed that whatever he was about to say would change her life in ways she could not predict. Because this was no longer about a waitress helping an old man. It was about what happens when kindness is finally seen, and what responsibility comes with being chosen for something bigger than yourself. Hashtag part 6, the unexpected decision. The room felt heavier after the old man's words. Maya could feel that something important was coming, but she did not know if she was ready to hear it. Outside the door, quiet footsteps moved as the lawyers waited patiently. Everything felt planned, organized, the opposite of the simple, unplanned friendship that had brought her here. The old man slowly opened the folder in front of him. Inside were several documents, neatly prepared. He did not push them toward her immediately. Instead, he looked at her carefully, as if trying to understand whether she would accept what he was about to offer. I don't have much time left, he said calmly. His voice was steady but honest. And I've been thinking about what should remain after I am gone. Maya felt a sudden tightness in her chest. Hearing him speak so directly about time and endings made everything feel real. She realized this was not just a conversation about gratitude. It was about legacy. The old man explained that for years he had donated money to charities, but it never felt personal. The people receiving help were numbers on reports, not faces he knew. After spending time in the diner, watching workers struggle quietly every day, he began to see things differently. He saw people like Maya, hardworking, exhausted, often invisible. People who helped others, even when they themselves needed help. I want to create something different, he continued. A foundation that helps people who are forgotten. Waitresses, cleaners, workers who keep things running but are rarely seen. Maya listened silently, unsure where she fit into this plan. Then he said it. I want you to help lead it. The words hung in the air. Maya blinked, thinking she had misunderstood. She had never managed anything beyond her daily shifts. She was not wealthy, not educated in business, not experienced in running organizations. I can't do that, she said quickly. I'm not the right person. The old man shook his head gently. That is exactly why you are. He explained that the foundation did not need someone who understood money. It needed someone who understood people. Someone who knew what it felt like to struggle without losing kindness. Lawyers and managers could handle the technical work, but the heart of the project needed to belong to someone genuine. Maya felt overwhelmed. Her life had always been simple, even difficult, but predictable. Accepting this meant change, big change. It meant leaving the safety of what she knew. What if I fail? She asked quietly. The old man smiled. You already succeeded. You just don't see it yet. Outside, rumors were already spreading back at the diner. Workers imagined Maya becoming rich or leaving forever. Some felt jealous. Others were curious. No one understood that the decision she faced was not about money, but responsibility. Maya thought about her mother, about the long nights, about customers who treated workers as if they didn't exist. She remembered how invisible people could feel when no one noticed their effort. The old man watched her carefully, giving her time. He did not pressure her. For the first time in his life, he wanted someone to choose freely, not because of wealth or influence. After a long silence, Maya spoke again. "If I do this, it's not for money." He nodded. "I know. It's to help people who feel alone," she continued. "Like you did." The old man's expression softened. There was relief in his eyes, as if a long search had finally ended. The lawyers were called into the room. Papers were placed on the table. Signatures would make everything official, but the real decision had already been made in that quiet moment. As Maya signed, she felt both fear and hope. Her life was changing in ways she never imagined. The small diner, the early mornings, the simple routine, all of it felt suddenly far away. Yet deep inside, she knew something important. The kindness that started in a small corner booth was now about to reach far beyond it. And neither of them knew that the final part of this story would not be about wealth or success, but about goodbye and the lasting impact one simple act of kindness could leave behind. Hashtag part 7. The emotional ending, a quiet legacy. The weeks that followed felt unreal to Maya. Her life moved faster than she expected, yet everything still felt connected to the small diner where it all began. Meetings replaced long shifts, and new faces replaced familiar customers, but she never forgot why she was there. The foundation slowly took shape, built around a simple idea, helping people who worked hard but were rarely noticed. At first, Maya struggled with the change. She missed the sound of coffee cups and morning conversations. She missed the routine that once made life feel stable. Some days, she wondered if she truly belonged in this new world. The lawyers and managers spoke in complicated terms, but Maya focused on the people they were trying to help. She listened to stories of single parents, exhausted workers, and people one unexpected bill away from losing everything. Every story reminded her of the old man. She visited him whenever she could. Each time, he looked a little weaker, but his mind remained clear. He asked her about the foundation, about the people she met, about the changes she wanted to make. He listened the same way he had in the diner, quietly, carefully. One afternoon, as sunlight filled the room, he told her something she would never forget. "Money builds buildings," he said softly, "but kindness builds meaning." Maya realized then that this had never been about wealth. It was about giving something back to the world before it was too late. As time passed, his visits became shorter. Doctors came more often. Conversations grew quieter. Maya understood what was coming, even though no one said aloud. One morning, she arrived at the house and felt the silence immediately. The staff spoke gently. The old man had passed away peacefully during the night. For a long moment, Maya stood still, unable to move. She felt sadness, but also gratitude. Their friendship had been unexpected, brief, and life-changing. She remembered the first time she saw him counting coins at the diner, never imagining how deeply their lives would become connected. Later that day, the lawyer handed her a letter the old man had written before his death. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside, the words were simple. He thanked her for treating him like a human being when the world only saw his wealth. He wrote that she reminded him of who he used to be before success made him forget what truly mattered. And he told her that the foundation was not his legacy. She was. Maya wiped her tears quietly. For the first time, she understood the full weight of what had happened. A small act of kindness, done without thinking, had changed not only one life, but many others who would now receive help through the foundation. Weeks later, Maya returned to the diner. Everything looked the same, yet different. The owner greeted her warmly, and the workers asked about her new life. She smiled, but her eyes moved toward the corner booth. The seat was empty, just as it had been before everything changed. A young delivery driver sat there now, looking tired and worried while counting coins for his meal. Maya paused for a moment. Then she walked over, refilled his coffee, and quietly told him not to worry about the extra cost. The moment felt familiar. As she walked back toward the counter, she realized something important. The old man's story had ended, but the kindness he believed in had not. It continued in small actions, in quiet moments that most people never noticed. Outside, life moved on as usual. Cars passed, people hurried by, and the world kept turning. But somewhere inside that small diner, the same lesson remained. Sometimes the smallest kindness is seen by someone carrying the heaviest story. And sometimes, helping one person can create a legacy that lasts far beyond a single lifetime.